What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're recapping the 2023 NFL trade deadline. We're going to be going over every trade and my thoughts on that trade, and also we're going to be going over the five biggest winners from the NFL trade deadline and the five biggest losers. So the first couple of trades, or the first 5 or 6 trades we're going over, are all trades that happened before today's NFL trade deadline, that happened before Tuesday's deadline. So the 49ers traded a 2024 6th-round pick to the Broncos for defensive end Randy Gregory and a 2024 7th-round pick. The Falcons, I mean, it's a solid addition. I don't know how he's done for them so far. It's been a couple weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And I honestly haven't checked in on him. The Falcons traded a 2026 6th-round pick to the Rams for Van Jefferson and a 2025 7th-round pick. I remember looking at the stats from the Falcons game the other day, and he had like 2 receptions for maybe 8 or 9 receiving yards. He hasn't been doing great with the Falcons. I thought he'd be doing better, but maybe he'll be a late bloomer. The Jets trade McCole Hardman and a 2025 7th-round pick to the Chiefs for a 2025. Jets trade McCole Hardman and a 2025 7th-round pick to the Chiefs for a 2025 6th-round pick. A lot of 7th-round picks and a player for a 6th-round pick so far. And this is the first trade that did not, involve a pick swap and a player. The Eagles traded 2024, and this was one of my favorite trades throughout the deadline. This deadline might have been quiet. There might have not been a lot of huge players traded. The 3 biggest players that were traded were Kevin Byard, who we're talking about right now, Chase Young, and Leonard Williams, but this was one of the best trades that I loved. The Eagles trade 2024 4th-round pick, 2024 5th-round pick, and safety Terrell Edmunds to the Titans for Kevin Byard. He's going to be a great addition for the Eagles. I don't think he played in their last game against the Commanders, but I'm not too sure on that. But he's going to be great for the Eagles once he's fully developed into their team. The Seahawks trade is one of the another biggest trades of the whole trade deadline. Seahawks trade 2024 2nd-round pick and a 2025 5th-round pick to the Giants for Leonard Williams, defensive lineman. Falcons trade for defensive lineman, and the Falcons trade for defensive lineman Kentavious Street in 2025 7th-round pick to the Eagles for 2024 6th-round pick. Now, weird thing is, I don't know. It says that the Eagles got Kentavious Street, but he was already on the Eagles. I don't know why it says that. And then getting into today's trades, there was a lot of players that weren't traded, but here were the players that were moved throughout the deadline today. Joshua Dobbs, quarterback, was traded to the Vikings. It was this was reported by Ian Rappaport. The Arizona Cardinals have traded Joshua Dobbs to the Minnesota Vikings. Arizona is reportedly sending Dobbs the 7th-round pick, conditional that can be made into a 6th for Minnesota's 6th-round pick. It's already been announced that Dobbs is not going to be the starter for Week 9 against the Falcons, so that will be interesting to see. But yeah, next you got the Vikings are trading standout guard Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars, and the Cleveland moves on a beef up another line in exchange for a 3rd-day draft pick. So I'm guessing it's either they got a 5th, a 4th, in the area of a 4th to 7th-round pick. It doesn't say what the Jaguars gave up. It just says the Jaguars gave up a 3rd-day draft pick, which is weird. Then the 49ers landed Chase Young, defensive end, Pro Bowler, and Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2020. The 49ers traded a 2024 3rd-round pick to the Commanders for Chase Young, and that was it for that trade. But great trade. And then another one of the trades that I really liked from today, the Lions trading for Browns wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones. They sent a 6th-round pick in 2025 for Donovan Jones. If I'm the Lions, I'm considering that trade a steal right there. That's a huge trade. Then the Bills traded for Packers cornerback Russell Douglas, a 2024 fifth round pick in Rasul Douglas to the Bills for a 2024 third round pick. And then you also had Montez Sweat getting traded to the Bears in exchange for a 2024 second round pick, and that ends the trades. The Commanders traded him to the Bears. All right, going over my biggest winners and my biggest losers. So, winners, the San Francisco 49ers acquiring two great players on the defensive end like Randy Gregory and Chase Young, not being scared to use their draft picks to make their defense even better, giving up a third round pick for Chase Young. That's also a steal for Chase Young. I know Chase Young is going into a free agency year, but he is more than a third round. He's worth more than a third round pick. I think the Commanders let him go for easy. But yeah, great job by the 49ers. I mean, traded a sixth round pick for Gregory. Got a seventh back for him though as well, and also got a third. They traded a third for Chase Young. Another winner. I even though it's only giving up a sixth round pick, adding in Donovan Peoples-Jones will be great for this Lions offense. It makes me want to put the Browns in the losers section, and I probably will. It's really disappointing that the Browns traded Donovan Peoples-Jones for a sixth round pick. I thought, if anything, the Browns needed wide receiver help, not get rid of it. I'm really disappointed with the Browns at the trade deadline. Great move for the Lions to get Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, Marvin Jones Jr. just stepped away from football, and they released him. So they need another wide receiver next to Josh Reynolds, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams. Another winner is the Philadelphia Eagles, getting a sixth round pick for Contavious Street. Also, being able to acquire Kevin Byard, and a huge steal for the Philadelphia Eagles. Great job by the Eagles in the trade deadline. I mean, you can see. I mean, most of these winners are teams that have improved their defense, and that was the main focus of the trade deadline, was teams acquiring defensive players. And here's another one: the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, for the Seattle Seahawks to get Leonard Williams and get him for the right price at a second and a fifth, he will help them try to win the NFC. The NFC, what is it? The North? No, that's the Packers division. The NFC, the South. The NFC West, my bad. He's going to try to help them win the NFC West. I mean, they're already winning it right now. They're 5-2, and the 49ers are 5-3. But he's going to make that defense already better than it is, and that's a great addition. And then for the Bills, to get Rasul Douglas for only a pick swap, a fifth round pick swap, the fifth and the third pick swap. That's a great addition. I mean, they lost their best corner, one of the best corners in football, Tre'Davious White, for the season with the torn ACL. That's a huge addition for them. And then here are my losers, the Chicago Bears. I'll give you multiple reasons. Montez Sweat is a great addition, don't get me wrong, but you traded a second round pick for a guy who very well could end up leaving you in free agency. I mean, look at all these other teams, like the 49ers trading for Chase Young. I know you're giving up a third round pick. I know that's basically near to what for what the Bears are giving up for Sweat. I mean, look at the assets teams like the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Seahawks are giving up for these players. Seahawks a second and a fifth for Leonard Williams. Eagles a fourth and a fifth, and a player for Kevin Byard. The 49ers a third round pick for Chase Young. But the difference with that is, even though these players are entering free agency, teams like the Seahawks, the Eagles, and the 49ers, those teams that are buying on defense, they are trying to compete for the playoffs in the NFC. And honestly, call me crazy with the Seahawks, but all the following three teams, the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Seahawks, are all competing for Super Bowls as well. I think everybody knows that with the Eagles and the 49ers, but I think the Seahawks are Super Bowl eligible as well. But the Bears, they're 2-6. They have no reason to trading a 2024 second-round pick for a defensive lineman who's a great player, but is entering free agency. The Bears are terrible. He very well could leave them in free agency and them being totally screwed and only having him for a half a season. And you giving up a 2024 second round pick for all that. And that's not the only reason I have them in the loser section. Because not only did they trade for Sweat, giving up a second round pick when you're 2-6 and he's going to free agency, but they didn't trade cornerback Jalen Johnson. They could have gotten some decent assets, some really good assets for Jalen Johnson. The Steelers were willing to give them some really good draft picks for him to improve their defense. And Jalen Johnson is a free agent for the Bears going into free agency. And they have not had no progress in contract extensions. And honestly, I don't think Jalen Johnson's going to re-sign with the Chicago Bears this offseason in free agency. So with Jalen Johnson, you could have got some very valuable draft picks for him, but you weren't able to, pull off a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were willing to give you a good offer. We haven't heard what that offer was, though. And then you trade a second-round pick for a guy who is going to be in free agency and very well could leave you. And it reminds me a lot like what they did with Chase Claypool last year. Trading a second-round pick for Chase Claypool last year when you're terrible, and then less than a year later, you trade him. That was another trade, the Dolphins trading for Chase Claypool. But, the first loser I have is the Bears. And then also the Houston Texans. I know the Houston Texans didn't make any moves, but that's the problem. As a Texans fan, the Texans should have made moves at the deadline. They should look at all the teams buying for defensive players like the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Eagles, and the Bills. Those teams, I know those are teams competing for Super Bowls, competing for playoffs. But the Texans should have added some pieces to the defense as well. They have the draft picks to do it. And we've been hearing throughout the whole trade deadline that they were looking to be aggressive at the trade deadline, and they were not. It upsets me. And then next, I have the Green Bay Packers. I don't understand why the Green Bay Packers traded Rasul Douglas. He's one of their best corners on their roster outside of Jaire Alexander, and it doesn't make sense to me. Also, I have the Kansas City Chiefs as a loser as well. I know they traded for McCole Hardman. He's going to be great for them, but I don't understand why they didn't trade for a wide receiver. Look at the Raiders and how bad they've been. Why not? I know they're division rivals, but why not call up the Las Vegas Raiders and see about Hunter Renfrow of the Las Vegas Raiders to add him in to that wide receiver core? I know Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton weren't available, but very well could have gotten Hunter Renfrow or another wide receiver available throughout the league. And even though the Chiefs got Hardman, still I think it's a loss to the Chiefs that they didn't add in another wide receiver throughout the trade deadline. And another loser is the Cleveland Browns. First, you trade away Donovan Peoples-Jones. You only get a 6th-round pick. The Browns already have a wide receiver problem, only having Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore to throw the ball to. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been great for them on special teams and as a wide receiver. And now you trade him away. You only get a 6th-round pick. And also, the Browns were in need of a running back, and you heard throughout the trade deadline that they were shopping for a running back, and they were looking to trade for a running back, and they didn't get any running back. So I think the Browns are a loser in this trade deadline as well. Use your thoughts on the trade deadline. That's it for the video. Because enjoy them, your thoughts, and peace out.